Dungeon Crawler Network presents Tales of Tamriel.
There we go. Welcome, Dungeon Crawlers, to Tales of Tamriel, your source for Elder Scrolls Online news, discussion, and all-around tomfoolery. I might have dated myself a little bit with the use of that little phrase, but we're here, and we're going to get into this show. Sorry, it's been a few weeks since we've last been on. We were off for the holidays for the past 2 weeks. And then, unfortunately, finals and sickness kind of got in our way, and we lost another week. So we're here. We had quite a bit of news that's piled up, which has been nice and something that's been a little bit of a change recently. But we're here. And I'm Aggelos, your host, and with me, as always, forevermore, he cannot escape, no matter how hard he tries, Arkhaniir.
Hello. It's exciting, to have this many news for once in a while. So it'll probably be a long episode. So I hope you all enjoy this episode.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll see how it goes.
And it's funny that you talk about that, because I've been working on the new website recently, and unfortunately it's so different that I couldn't just use the current version that we have. So I've been manually copying over all of the posts we've ever done on DungeonCrawlerNetwork.com to our staging site and working with it. And as I'm going through all the old past episodes of Tales of Tamriel and looking at the show notes for those episodes, I'm sitting there going, like, some of them had like 14 bullet points. It was insane how much news we were inundated with at the beginning. And I mean, it's natural with as MMOs advance that there's less going on all the time. But yeah, it was kind of shocking compared to where we were, 70 episodes ago versus where we are today. Obviously, our audio got quite a bit better because I know Ark. I think that you got a new mic.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's right here.
It looks really nice. I like it. Yeah.
Finally.
So we're starting to somewhat become professional.
It was time.
Well, maybe.
It was time.
Equipment-wise, anyway. But,
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, the notes for today's show, I'm going to go ahead and kind of hammer them out right away, because we are going to take calls on Tales of Tamriel. It's something that I like that bit, and it's something I want to continue in the future. Sometimes we get calls, sometimes we don't, but I want the community to express their opinions with us if they can or want to. And in order to do that, I figured it might be a good idea to give what we're going to talk about ahead of time, so if you have something you want to talk about, you can. So we have some news that's coming up, including a new Crown Store showcase. We are going to be talking about the PTS patch for 2.7, Update 13, all the new features being added, sans the Homestead, because we're going to save that for the conversation. Rich Lambert took to the forums today to give us a little bit of a sneak peek on some changes coming up with classes in Update 13. We'll definitely hit on that. The Elder Scrolls Online.net, a Russian fan site, data mined a bunch of different images that were used from the Crown Store and stuff like that, and from the game files. So we are going to be looking through those items as well to kind of see what has been added in Update 13. So that'll be definitely exciting. We have 2 discussion points to talk about tonight. We have the official word on high from the debacle that was the poor customer service rep who allowed past Crown Store items to be purchased. We're going to talk about that and what we think the fallout of that is. And then finally, we're talking Homestead. PTS, what we like, what we don't like, what we think is amazing. Pretty much that's about it. So we'd love to hear your ideas on Homestead or anything we talked about. So feel free to give us a call, dungeoncrawlernetwork.com/Discord. Hop onto the podcast lobby chat. We have our DCN intern, Robot Dancer, down there. She's awesome, and she is willing to take calls and let us know so we can pull you into the show. So that's something you're interested in? Let's do it. Ark, do you have anything you want to say before I really roll into this?
I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Probably because we haven't done an episode since last year, which I had to do this.
When you say it like that, it does feel like we've been gone a while. When in reality, it's only been about 3 weeks. So, yeah. But you are right. We have not podcasted since last year.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah. It's crazy. Totally crazy. All right, we're going to hop right on into the news. First up, Crown Store Showcase for January 4th, 2017. We've got a new showcase that came out. I'm going to go ahead and try to pull it up so we can see it. So that's what I'm going to be doing right here, Ark, while you're...
and you are throwing me into the boss microphone again. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you know.
So it's the Crown Store Showcase for January 4th. And again, as usual, we have some new costumes, a new motif, actually, a couple of motifs, which were in the game. We'll go through them in a bit. And some new pet style parlor items, hairstyles, and that's about it, really. There isn't really something that's overly exciting, but the Crown's crafting motifs might be fun for some people. So you haven't done it yet? Because that's about it without the pictures. Yeah. That's all I can talk without pictures.
Hey, guess what? Pictures are up.
Nice. Okay. Take back the lead.
Yep, I know. You did good. You did good there.
You know, whenever you do this, I feel like, in the movies, two guys are driving in a highway trying to avoid, running away from something, and one of the guys decides that he needs to go out of the window and lets the other guy handle the wheel. That's how I feel like, that's how I feel like, trying to grab onto the wheel from the next seat.
Yep. That's pretty much that's exactly how it is. I'm just like, good luck, Ark. See you later. I'm glad you're good with this. So, but yes, as you can see on the screen, we've got first new costume coming into the Crown Store, which is the Glenmora
witch robes.
And the sad part is I've been practicing saying that because of the quest in Skyrim with the Fighters Guild, with the werewolves. Or I guess it's not really the Fighters Guild in Skyrim; it's the companions, but it is the Fighters Guild. Yeah. Well, we're getting their costume now. Did you see it in game?
No, I haven't. Actually, the only thing is this in the game? These are in the game, right?
This one is in the game right now. This one became available as of the 5th of January, so it's been on for about a week now.
I stopped following what date is after the start of January, so I don't know.
Understandable.
But no, I haven't seen it.
Okay, all right.
It's a cool costume, though.
No, I like it. I definitely like it.
Yeah.
It's not really my thing. Like, it's not something that my character would wear, obviously. But maybe for some role play, it might be kind of neat. And I mean, their costumes are neat because they do add a lot of layers. One of my big complaints, remember early on in the game, was the painted-on look that everything had. And their new costumes, they've done away with that. So that's always a plus. We've got the Drifting Sands tunic and sash. This became available as of the 12th of January. I'm going to pull that up. It's Redguard. It's Arabian Nights. So if you got an Aladdin fantasy, here you go.
They are pretty simple. I mean, most of the Redguard male kind of costumes, they don't go for highly exaggerated stuff, I guess. But just when I'm saying that, the costume beneath that is
The
quite
vested
fancy,
interest.
so yeah,
It's a
my
merchant.
argument just got invalidated.
Desert merchant. It looks neat. I like
Yeah.
it. I like it a lot. So that's cool. We've got the new crafting motif being added to the game. If you haven't already gotten the Assassin's League from the Dark Brotherhood, you can now pick that up in the Crown store. If that is what you would rather do than farm out the pages, it is now available. As well as the Domithra. Now, I cannot remember. These all go on sale. The Assassins was on sale from the 5th of January. Now, here's something with the Domithra. The Domithra is only available for a limited time between the 26th and the 30th.
Oh,
Is this available in game? Like, I feel like it is from doing
actually,
Mall, isn't it?
I never seen any Dromatra pages or motif books or anything. And we've done a lot of Maw of Lorcage with the
It
guild,
might be
you know?
veteran only. I feel like I've seen Domithra stuff. And, like, I really do feel like it's in game. So, if anyone in chat...
Wasn't it a skin that was in the game?
No, there was a Domithra skin that you could get from doing the vet hard mode, but no, there was a crafting motif that they added. I believe this is in game, but I don't know why it's limited time only. That's kind of confusing for me because I do feel like it's in game.
Yeah, I feel like I remember seeing the armors, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I mean, if it's in the game, why make it limited time on the Crown store? That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, and that's kind of the thing. I'm gonna have to check and confirm that. But next up, we got a new mini pet coming into it, the Lynx, which another Lynx pet, which I like.
I don't like these.
You don't like lynxes? The desert
I don't
lynx?
know. They look kind of weird. Like the head is too big for its body. Kind of. I don't know. There's something odd about them. I can't really put my finger on it, but I don't know. They look weird to me.
All right.
I'd rather have a normal dog or a tiger or something like that instead of the lynxes.
Well, ladies, if you need your eyelashes to flit a little bit, if I use the right term, or is it flits? I can't remember, but don't hate me too much. We've got the a new facial hair, which is the subtle dark lashes. I'm sure someone will tell me I said the wrong word, but I might be right. I need to shout up to Thais and make sure I know what the right word is. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So if you hear me screaming, this is why. Hey, Thais! Thais! She's not even paying attention anymore, so she doesn't even care. My son cried, though. He heard me. All right, well, she's not here to tell me what it is, so sorry.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, someone will tell me. Someone will correct me. We've got temple tufts for the Khajiit, because that's awesome. Now, the Sailor Squid goatee.
Now, this is a good one.
You like this? Okay, all right.
Oh, yeah.
All right. This is only available for a short time as well. This is available from the 19th to the 23rd.
Now, I hate the limited time stuff, but it is what it is. I'll probably won't get it then.
I wonder how much is going to be with limited time. Wavy triple braid updo is now available. Crest with the pony braid. That's kind of neat. And fine upstanding spines to erect them, because you need to erect them.
Yeah.
Tousled bard, and that's pretty much
Now,
it.
this is actually a good... The tousled bard is a good hairstyle to have any... It's not lore-breaking in any way, and it looks good, so...
I guess.
like it.
Yeah, no, I can see. I mean, it is true. It is true. I kind of like it. But, yeah, that is now available as well. So those will be all available, I think, around January 21st. So other than the limited edition ones that we just mentioned earlier. So keep that in mind if that's something you're interested in. The beard's hilarious. We've got Robot Dancer in chat. She's already giving me commentary on these things. So that is what it is. All right, so that was the Crown Store for January. We're going to go ahead and move on to the PTS patch notes. Update 13 has been released. So, The Elder Scrolls Online version 2.7.0 featuring Homestead. This is going to be a free update that introduces the player housing system. So this is not going to be a paid DLC. It's going to be baseline. So that's kind of neat. And they, of course, highlight the housing and the furniture crafting, which is new. In this massive new, in addition to the massive new system, which is Homestead, they've also added master crafting writs, 4 new motifs, and updated several sources of itemization in Cyrodiil and the Imperial City, which we're going to talk about here shortly. They've also put a focus on improving the balance across all classes and skills, and that's pretty much it. So we're going to talk about that. So before we get into Homestead, because that's going to be a discussion for the end of the show, we do want to hit up on the big features with Update 13. Okay? Specifically, as I scroll through this entire huge list, I'm trying to get to the Master Rifts, because that's really
I think it's on the third page.
Is it third page? Yeah, I see it. Master Writ. So, Master Crafting Writs, maximum tier writ reward boxes for all trade skills now have a chance to provide a special invitation to craft a very specific item or set of items. These invitations may require any materials or knowledge associated with the trade skill, even if you don't yet possess it. These invitations are tradable, consumable, and indicate the number of writ vouchers awarded upon successful completion of the contract. The frequency of Master Writ invites from standard writ boxes is based on overall associated trade skill mastery possessed by the character. This includes research, motif knowledge, and achievement completion. Ark, are you a crafter? Because I'm a crafter.
I'm not a crafter. I've never been a crafter in possibly any game, but I've been trying to get the master crafting achievements in European side because I don't have anyone to craft me stuff there. So I need to craft stuff myself, and I need to sell stuff. So, but I've never liked writs because I don't like doing dailies because they are the same thing that I have to do each day. But this might be a reason to start doing them because these invitations will be tradable, and I feel like they'll go for quite a bit of money. So
of course they will.
You want to know why?
Because when you hand them in, you get this new currency called writ vouchers, and these can be turned in to the Mastercraft mediator, who accepts the master writ deliveries, and he apparently, this guy Rolis Halalu, because hey, that kind of fits lore-wise. I like that. So the more difficult, rare, and expensive crafted items provide more writ vouchers on average than the more commonplace counterparts. So depending on what the task is involved, it may give you more or less. Here's the big kicker. So these things you can then turn in. He's a merchant who will not take gold, but he'll take these crafting writs to allow you to buy a couple things, including style items, individual motif chapters, or a complete book for the ebony motif. Yeah.
That's nice.
There are 2 legendary furnishing plans per trade skill. So blacksmithing, well, probably per everything. The recipe and unique component for the ethereal ambrosia, so you can take that. The recipe and unique component for the targeting skeleton furnishing. Crafting station furnishings for each trade skill and a dye station furnishing, and attunable crafting stations for blacksmithing, clothing, woodworking trade skills, which have been used near crafted item set locations to transform them into furnishing versions of those set stations. So essentially, you'll be able to take these things out, craft them at some world location that has a crafting and then that can sit in your house, and you no longer have to go out into like the Rift to do Hunding's Rage. You can do it from your house. So all these things require master writs, or these writ vouchers.
I mean, if I trusted my RNG, I would probably use these master writ vouchers myself, but I don't. So I'll just sell them and buy whatever I need externally.
I see.
My RNG is... I'll keep that to Tails section if we have time to do it.
Yeah, we probably will. But I like the fact that these things are a currency for crafters. So by doing your daily writs and getting these master writs, you can get these vouchers to buy all these special stuff. And I can tell you the targeting skeleton is going to be a big thing. That's going to be a big seller.
Yeah.
And if you can only get it from this, that's a potential huge moneymaker.
I assume it will also be in the Crown store, but...
Possibly.
Yeah.
New motifs are coming with Update 13, including the Silken Ring style, which is found in the Cradle of Shadows dungeon, available through the Shadows of Hiss DLC. The Mazatoon style, from that self-same dungeon. The Ra-Gada style, that's found in Craglorn now. I say Ra-Gada because it's 2 words. I refuse to say Regatta. But anyway.
I don't know how it's... Anyway, so just...
I think it's actually Regatta, because I think that's how they pronounce it in the game, but I've actually heard other people separate it out. So however you want to pronounce it, you could do it. It's the old Redguard style that actually came from several of the the sets we used to find in Craglorn. Like, what set did you used to wear that way long ago arc that you were after? What was it? Oh my! It's gonna bother me because you always had that as one of your main sets. Now I can't remember what it is.
There was... I've been using Black Rose for a very long time.
This was before Black Rose even came out.
Probably Footman and his Spark.
Footman, that's what it was. So the Footman set.
Wasn't Footman? That I thought that was Orc.
No, that's the Regatta style.
Really?
Yeah.
I always assumed it was Orc because, I don't know, it looked ugly.
There's, well, I mean that's up to taste. But the Regatta style, you can actually also see it in several of the in the Alakir Desert when you're doing the main storyline. There's a few times where you actually see past events. I don't want to give away spoilers because the story's really good, but you see past events and you get to see the Regatta happen, and a lot of their generals are wearing that style. So it's something to keep in mind. The Ebony style as well, which is only attainable from the Mastercraft Mediator. So yeah. Imperial City vendors are getting a change. The Telvar Greater Lockbox Merchant is now known as the Telvar Equipment Lockbox Merchant. So these boxes now contain armor, weapons, and jewelry from every Imperial City set in all traits except Impenetrable and Nirnhoned, which...
This changes a lot of things.
Okay.
Because they used to only come in armor. Now they're coming in weapon and jewelry.
That's true.
So
Black Rose jewelry,
my
man.
entire... Yeah, it's a game changer. Everything will change. So I can't tell if it's a nice thing though.
Maybe.
I don't want to theorycraft again.
Well,
I don't know.
You know, it is what it is. But yeah, there is all the old Imperial City sets are now available from these lockboxes. These lockboxes will give you other sets now, so like they're not just PvP sets. You can get them in, Divines, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. And now they also have a jewelry counterpart, so that may change up what you're doing. Yeah. Cyrodiil vendors. Yes. The vendors found in the base camp of the alliances in Cyrodiil have changed. Most of them have left. They just said, screw this. We're not making money. No one's buying our crap. We're leaving. So they left, and they're no longer here. So unfortunate.
Which one are these? Are these the one that sold monster sets?
These are the ones that sold some of the old PvP sets, like... hold on. It was a set, Ravager. and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, those.
But then there were
ones.
some general merchants who just sold random crap, like low-level stuff, you know, like, because remember, before they had one, you know, you could buy level 40 Ravager sets and stuff. I think a lot of those are gone.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, who would buy them anymore?
Alicast is in chat. Hey, guys. Welcome. Welcome.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. So a lot of those guys are now gone. So unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess it really didn't matter one way or the other. However, some of the vendors that were found in the capturable towns in Cyrodiil have had their wares slightly modified. The prices of the containers that you could buy there have been reduced by about 75%. And they removed some item sets from the capturable town wares because they were found elsewhere in Tamriel. So they include armor of truth, Barkskin Crusader, Durok's Bane, Noble Duelist, Prayer Shawl, Robes of Onslaught, Sergeant's Mail, and the Twin Sisters. So that's
none of them I've ever used.
And the quest rewards in the towns, if you've ever done any of those, I did them like one time to get the achievement, and I have not been back. But they will now offer better compensation for completing the quests. So more AP, more gold, because they didn't offer much before. It was kind of garbage. So
Now, these means the dailies of the towns, right?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Dungeon ready check is finally coming. That's pretty cool. Being able to actually have a ready check to let people know, hey, we're ready to pull or we're not. And a few other little things such as Razer Chroma support. If you had Razer Chroma devices, they weren't really working before. Now they are. So great there. And a champion point increase. I'm actually really happy about this because they're increasing it by 39 points, which brings the current maximum up to 600. And it's just aesthetically pleasing because it's 600.
Yeah.
Instead
That I'll ever see it, but it's pleasing.
It's just aesthetically pleasing than the what? The 5, like, what is it? Like 59 now or whatever it is? Or, yeah. That was
561.
561, yeah, 561. So that was just unattractive to look at. So 600 is just aesthetically pleasing. So, and I'm glad that they're doing that.
One thing I want to mention, as Alith Belazors in the chat just mentioned, Ready Check is already in the game and has been for a few months. But the problem is Aggelos doesn't care about the Ready Check or whether if your tank is ready, whether if your healer is ready, and he just decides to pull, so he does it. So everyone gets killed, or as a tank, without your resources, you have to try and taunt things anyway because Aggelos decides to pull things.
Oh yeah, no, I won't wait
And
on
as
anybody.
you can see, he is not even aware of the Ready Check being in the game for a few months. So
No, it's. I said ready check, and you're right. That one has been in the game, but this is the dungeon ready check for when you go into a dungeon. How Dungeon Finder finds it. So,
yeah.
Essentially, what's going to happen is they've updated the way the Dungeon Finder forms groups, and that's the ready check I'm referring to that they're adding into the game. So instead of automatically putting you into a group, and then the person could be AFK or whatever, and you don't know. When the dungeon group's ready, you will no longer be immediately put into a group. Instead, all 4 members of the group now will receive a box to say, verify that they're ready for the dungeon. So everyone actually has to say, okay, I'm ready. And I'm sure if someone declines or it times out, they'll be removed from the queue, and the other members will be placed in the front of the queue to get people. Yeah. So this is going to change how some of these things work in terms of you can't just AFK. You'll actually have to pay attention because you probably only get a couple seconds. You won't get a long time. So yeah.
But you gave me an opening anyway, so I had to use it.
No, that's fine.
So that's it for the big features, I guess.
Actually, this tip comes from Robot Dancer here, but ESO Mana in chat saying that they play on the PC Guild. You do know you can actually use like a PS4 controller or an Xbox 360 controller on the PC, and it just it converts the UI to that of the consoles. So you can play like you're on a console on PC, which is awesome. So if you're already in the PlayStation or the PS or
PC.
Yes, thank you. The PC, you don't have to leave. You can literally just hook up a controller, because that's actually how our DCN intern Robot Dancer plays, because she doesn't like the mouse and keyboard. She likes the controller because she was from PS4. So you don't have to leave the PC if that's not what you really want. Like, I don't know if I wouldn't want to start over on console if I didn't have a choice, because I've spent so much time on my PC side. I just wouldn't want to do it. All right. That was pretty much the big news with Update 13. However, Rich Lambert took to the forums and posted some of the class balance changes that are coming to the PTS this week. There's a few things. We're going to touch on each one, and we'll talk about them in turn. We're going to start with the Dragon Knight, and I'm going to quote this verbatim. That way it's not my own interpretation. Rich Lambert says, just wanted to thank everyone for all the feedback on this thread, the thread being about Dragon Knights and Update 13. We have some updates/changes coming to the next build that we'd like to share. Obsidian Shield now doubled the speed of this projectile.
Obsidian Shard,
by the
way.
Yeah, sorry. Yep. I was thinking Shield, and I was reading Shield elsewhere. Obsidian Shard, they've now doubled the speed of the projectile. Fiery Grip and its morphs. This ability is no longer dodgeable. Also reduce the duration of the expedition buff by 2 seconds, so it'll be 6 seconds instead of 8. Note the damage portion of this ability can still be blocked. So essentially, I guess with that one, they made it so that the buff you get, like if someone were to dodge it, you wouldn't get the expedition buff. Mm-hmm. And so they made it unblockable, but they separated out the buff portion from the damage portion. So you can still dodge the attack. You just...
I mean, it actually says this ability is no longer dodgeable. So I guess you can't dodge it now, but you can still block the damage. That's how I understand it.
My thought would be that with it being no longer dodgeable, if you're dodging out, you're immune to the damage. That's like blocking the damage. I think like if you were to roll out of it and it's dodged, the people before weren't getting the buff, and I think that changed.
Could be. I don't know. I've never tried. I mean, I tried, but I never played enough PvP to notice this thing. So I don't know. And since no one dodges in PvE,
what?
I'm not sure. Who dodges in PvE? Which boss dodges? Or which
dodges. I got you. I was like, what do you mean players dodge in PvE? I dodge all the time.
No, I mean the creatures.
I have to dodge like crazy till you get your slow tank butt up there after I pulled everything. So I'm just like dodging in a big circle.
Yeah. I wouldn't have problems getting there if you didn't pull everything before I was even in the area, you know. So I didn't have to sprint all the way to you.
You're out of stamina, and I'm just dodging around. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. I really need to get that well-fitted set. That's gonna be. I'm gonna have to make a full set and well-fitted just to troll you. So I have like infinite dodge. I can just dodge around everything. I like it. Dragon Leap and its morph. This ability is also no longer dodgeable. It is an AoE after all, so you know if you're standing in the AoE, you're getting hit. In addition, we fixed an issue where the CC immunity while leaping was not being added correctly. You are now immune to all forms of crowd control, including roots while leaping. Players can still outrange this ability while the Dragon Knight is in the air if the DK leaps from the max range and the player immediately runs away. As a note, we are still evaluating changes of coagulating blood. We do like to hear feedback on this ability, and we'll continue to monitor it closer on the PTS. So you're the Dragon Knight, so...
I mean, these are all based on PvP feedback. So, and the changes are focused on PvP behavior, so I can't really tell anything about it. We probably need Nate or someone who does PvP on this.
Right. Well, I mean, it makes sense. Well, non-dodgeable attacks and stuff like that make it, especially if people are wearing well-fitted and trolling people with dodges, it would make it very hard to actually hit with things. Sorcerer only got one change. They're going to be making tweaks to
Velocious Curse.
Velocious Curse, thank you. Velocious Curse, this morph will still cause an echo, but now the explosions will occur at 3.5 seconds and 8.5 seconds instead of 6 and 12, respectively. So they've just added the damage a little bit more in the front end than in the back. I don't know. Do people use this? Like, I don't play a Sork. Well, I do have a Sork, but I haven't used it recently, and when the game first came out, this ability was just garbage. Like, no one used it. And I don't know if it's still garbage.
I don't know. Not sure.
All right. Well, Sorks are Sorks. Nightblades. They've got a couple changes coming. Incapacitating Strike. Increase the cost of this ultimate to 70 from 50. Okay. All right. Increasing the ultimate costs. 50 is pretty low. You could use that really quickly. I mean,
if you had a bloat spawn, you could probably spam it every 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's really quick. That's lower than Dawnbreaker.
Yeah.
And that's lower than a lot of the weapon ultimates, too. I think the weapon ultimates are 100, 125. Yeah. Path of Darkness and its morphs increase the base ability damage by 25%, which is cool. Whatever. Twisting Path. Increase the damage of this morph by 7% over the base ability. Total damage increase of 32% over live. I hear my son upstairs. He's not very happy. So if anyone else can hear him, he's not happy. So, oh well. Yeah, he probably wanted something and Thais wouldn't give it to him. So he's using his shout upon her. Blow her away. All right. They definitely want to hear feedback on Grim Focus. And they agree that it requires more micromanagement than most other abilities. They're trying to look into solutions, but they don't expect to get anything out for Update 13. But if you are a Nightblade and Grim Focus is a thorn in your side, perhaps give some feedback on that. All right.
Yep.
Templar! We got lots of changes.
Because Templar is a broken class, and no one likes you.
Well, actually, no. Almost every change they did here is amazing and should have been done a long time ago. Biting jabs will now be undodgeable like the base ability. This was something that was kind of really off, how the base ability, the unmorphed ability, was undodgeable, but the morph wasn't. It's like, what?
Well,
makes no sense. They also fixed an issue, which this was a bug, not really an adjustment, but the cost per level wasn't set correctly. Overall, there's a cost reduction by approximately 20% to use this ability, which is awesome because that's the primary ability my character uses.
Yeah, but weren't you guys spamming biting jabs all the time anyway?
Well, yeah, but now we can now it's 20%.
More all the time.
More all the time. Radical Sweep and its morphs. The initial hit of damage is now undodgeable. It's an AoE, so there you go. Crescent Sweep. This morph now does physical damage instead of magicka, which is cool because a lot of tanks would use this. Well, actually, no, not a lot of tanks. This was a DPS ability. I'm sorry. Crescent Sweep is the DPS ability, and the other sweep is the one that for every enemy you hit, you got damage reduction. So that's more of the tank one. So this is now does physical damage, which is awesome because the people who would be using this would probably no magicka Templar would use this ability. They would because it's a melee ability. It would either be a tank or it'd be a stam Templar.
No,
You know?
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it causing physical magicka damage. No one wanted to use it before because if it did magicka damage, great. But our magicka is so low, it does, piss all. So that's actually a really good change because no magicka Templar would use it because it's a melee range ultimate. You just wouldn't. Piercing Javelin and its morphs, they've increased the speed of the projectile by 40%, so it does go a little faster. I'm not really sure what the point of that is, other than...
Does anyone ever use the Piercing Javelin anyway?
Yes, PvP.
Ah, right. I always forget there is a PvP in the game.
Piercing Javelin and its morphs, specifically Binding Javelin, which is a snare, it now is reduced in cost by 20% to match other stam abilities. This one actually costs more than almost every other stam ability out there. Like there were other, like the Obsidian Shard we talked about earlier. I don't know if that's stamina or not, but like it was funny. You'd look at the cost of it. Like you would have your original ability, like Piercing Javelin. Let's just say it costs 800 magicka. Okay, whatever. It's just a random number. When it converted to stamina, it's like, okay, this now costs 1,000 stamina to use. And you're like, what? But if you went the magicka morph, it was still 800 magicka. It's like, why would this increase? It made no sense. But it's being reduced by 20% to match the other abilities in the game. Backlash and its morphs, this includes Power of the Light, reduce the amount of damage needed to reach the cap and increase the percentage of damage released. It should be much easier for a solo player who focuses damage on target to now use, because this was the ability that you put that beam of light on an enemy and it absorbed damage you did to it and then exploded based on how much you did. It was very hard before to reach the cap. So it was, a lot of people would only really use it in group situations, which it was like Power of the Light was very powerful in group situations because it's stored up. But there was always that damage cap where they put a cap on it that it will not go above a certain amount of damage. They've now increased that. And as our numbers have been going up and gear's been getting better, they've not increased the damage from where it was before. So it was like, why even bother when I can do as much damage just using a different ability? Other than, like I said, group utility, because it did put Fracture on the boss. So those are the changes that are coming to the PTS this week. So hop on in, test them. Fun times. Wow.
Lots of changes.
Lots of changes, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. It's time to move on to the next little bit of news, which is the Datamined information from patch 2.7.0. So this is a bunch of information from the ElderScrolls.net. It's a Russian fan site, and the reason why I go to these guys is because I like the outlay of their website. It looks really pretty, even though I cannot understand a word of it because it's all in Russian. But the images that they found and stuff are top notch, so that's why I kind of always go here.
Don't worry, I've been learning Russian for about 4 years, and I still don't understand anything.
Okay,
here, so.
Good. All right, so we're on the same spot.
Don't worry about it.
I like it. So if you look on the screen right now, you as well probably are not going to see any words you understand unless you speak Russian. But there are a bunch of different images. These are showing some of the items that will likely be coming to the Crown Store are images that are used in the Crown Store. So whenever you see the preview images, we already knew that all these houses were going to come into the Crown Store. Yep. But some of it also kind of can give us some hints because a lot of stuff comes into the game first, right? This is how we saw a lot of motifs ahead of time. Was we found images for the Crown Store because they add them in. It's just an image. So obviously, I'm going to scroll through these fairly quickly. Ark, you're looking at them as well, so you can stop me if you see anything. Obviously, these are the different houses available in the game with their names. I like the Stay Moist Mansion, just the name of it, because it's just funny. I'm going to try to pull it up here. There it is, just the nice image. But the Stay Moist Mansion, check that out if you're an Argonian lover. Obviously, as we scroll down through, there's some really neat houses that we can see. The Earth Tear Cavern, that's the one in Craglorn, right?
Yeah, which is probably my favorite one so far, but it's a Crown Store exclusive, so...
Is that going to be a Crown Store exclusive? Did they say that?
They didn't say that, but I didn't see a price tag on it either in the game, so I assume the Craglorn Cavern and the island, obviously, are Crown Store exclusives.
Gotcha.
And that Earth Tier is just too great not to be a Crown Store exclusive.
Right. Well, we'll.
And
talk
I'm saying
about
that based on the other houses.
Right. Well, we'll talk about that in the discussion on Homestead, because I do want to talk about Crown Store exclusives, etc. We got the Daggerfall Overlook, and as you can see, there's still more of these that are really nice. I'm really excited. Really, really excited. Forsaken Stormhold. Where is this one? I don't remember this one. It's Orc in nature. And then we got Mormoth Keep, which is also Orc, and I really like the look of that. We're going to hop over... Oh, the Grand Tropical Hideaway. Obviously, that one we knew was going to be a Crown Store exclusive.
Yep.
Now we're going to see some new ornaments. So these are items to customize your character's appearance. Again, I'm just going to kind of look through them very quickly because it's kind of hard to see a lot of them on the screen, but a lot of these are like eyebrows. It looks like in this one it's a nose ring. We can get nose rings now. That's kind of neat. Because there's no actual titles for a lot of these.
Yeah.
But they're all adornments, so those are the things that go on your character that don't really change. And we got some new body markings coming in. I specifically like the second from the top. And if you're listening on the podcast, I'm going to have a link to this website in the show notes, so feel free to check them out, dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. And you'll be able to go to the same site that we're looking at here on the live stream, so you can look at it as well. But those stripes look really neat. I really like those. New consumables are being added, which, all right, you know, crown debilitating poison, draining poisons.
Who cares about them?
Yeah, Wild Hunt crown crates.
I mean, I guess we gotta accept the fact that they are here right now. So
yeah, and they did say
we shouldn't complain again.
I guess not. But that means
my problem
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, my problem with these are these crown crate mounts are just way too fancy, and they're drifting towards being lore breaking, I guess. I mean, they look great. There's no arguing there, but I think there's pictures of them on the forum post.
There are, and we've seen these Wild Hunt ones data mined before.
We've seen them.
If you want to get in game, there's already a monster that has the same aesthetic style. If you go into Glenumbra and fight some of the witches there, when you see those giant lurchers, those giant vine monsters, that's essentially what it is. They're, you know, instead of being a vine monster, it's a vine horse, and that's what you're riding. But I do agree, even with the Storm Astronaut, some people have mentioned that a lot of these they feel too fantasy, whereas Elder Scrolls is always, I don't want to say bland or low fantasy, because there is a lot of high fantasy elements, but it was always more realistic in nature, right?
I mean, there are always some, you know, high fantasy elements in Elder Scrolls, but the idea is, at least as far as I can tell, they are not common. Like, they are not things that you would see running around, but you would see in some deep ruin, or I don't know, at the top of a giant mountain or something like that. So they shouldn't be running around everywhere. You know, you shouldn't be able to see a Storm Atronach, I don't know, a bear inside Riften. So that's my point on these being lore breaking. They can be in the game, but the idea that they are these common that everyone can ride one, that's kind of bothering. But it is what it is. I mean, the customization is in the game, and they have to improve it over time, and they'll run out of options. They'll run out of lore-friendly options at some point.
Yeah, obviously they will. So we've got some new costumes coming in. We've got satin gown, dancing dress, martial art formal bug shell robes, reed fiber kit, striped sash kit. Now the top two were very Altmer in style, so you can check those out. The last three I mentioned were Argonian. And again, the images are here on this video as well as on DungeonCrawlerNetwork.com. Just open up the podcast article and you can check out the notes. So that is a thing. Moth Priest. We can now get a Moth Priest costume. That's neat.
Oh.
Yeah. And a Dread Akatara, which are kind of like those monsters we fight in... like the stone monsters.
Yeah, I like this.
I think that's probably going to be a polymorph. That'll probably be a polymorph than a costume, but it is what it is. Moving on, new decorative and furniture stuff. So we're going to very quickly go through these because there's just tons. But, I mean, it goes from everything from a simple bucket and broom bundle, which are probably going to be, like I said, crown stores, so you can buy them or craft them because they are craftable as well. But you have those options. A lot of these that I'm looking at right now are very Argonian in style. Like there's an Argonian pillow and things like that. Sacks, bottles of wine. You can buy yourself a Hircine statue if you are a follower of the Lord of the Hunt. That is your decision. Again, I'm just going through these really quick, because there are so much stuff. Now there are some bundles here, like starter bedroom, and I'm going to pull up this image. It's kind of hard to see, but it's got a simple bed. It's got a stool, a small little dresser, a little bookcase, a picture, and a small table. You can buy a couple bundles that will have a few items in it rather than buying things one at a time. And you can see right here we got Craglorn bedroom, Craglorn mega pack, which lots of rugs and tapestries and just a lot of different items that you can add. And it seems to be one for pretty much every race. So those are a thing. So this is something that's kind of exciting. 2 new events for Datamined, which are in the Crown Store, but they're always free. First off is the 2nd annual Jubilee Cake.
More cake. More cake for me.
More cake for Ark.
You'll
I'm sad that we don't have the video up right now because we have this up, because I could just see your face light up when you probably saw this of Jubilee Cake. But if you missed it last year, for the anniversary of the game launching, they released the Jubilee Cake, which was, you put it down, you eat it, and you get experience boost.
Yeah, and you
or
put
you
it
troll people at fishing, or at or
fishing.
Anytime you have to interact with something.
People can't use anything else.
Yeah.
Every time they try to interact, they just interact with the cake. So you can just drop it in front of a chest, and people will suffer. Well, they'll eat cake, so that's not really suffering, but... Or some amazing tanks will just decide eating cake during a boss fight. I don't know.
Ark, Jester's Festival. Go ahead and talk about that. I have to go check on my son. I'm sorry. So
okay.
I'll be right back. So Jester's Festival.
Okay. I actually have no idea what the Jester Festival will be about. I assume... Well, not assume, but it's Halloween maybe, because we have one Christmas kind of deal. One annual event, which is Jubilee Cake. Then there's one in Halloween. Then there's one in Christmas. So I don't know where the Jester one fits, but there's one. From the picture, as far as I can see, a Jester costume that we already have in the game. But other than that, I don't have any information on that. So there's that. If you have any idea what that might fit in the holiday schedules, just let me know in the chat. After that, we see some hairs again, Argonian, nothing lore breaking as far as I can see, which makes me... Oh, wait, there's one weird hairstyle which is called blue and green streaks, which is kind it reminds me like a Final Fantasy-ish design, but the picture is really small as well, so I can tell, but I don't know, I don't like it. Other than that, all seems lore-friendly, and that's all I care about, the hairs and adornments.
Right.
So there's that.
I'm back.
Oh, okay. Welcome back.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, wow. I changed the page, and there's a lot of Jester hats.
Is there?
So, So I guess some of these will drop during the Jester event on the 5th page.
I'm assuming so, yes. I see that as well. Fool's Cap. I imagine a lot of these are going to drop. There'll probably be a few you can buy, but I can't imagine all of them will be, you know.
I mean, every event there's like 2 to 3 hats that drop, masks and hats. So
yeah, but there's also 2 to 3 in the Crown Store, because I even think with the New Life Festival there was 2 in the Crown Store,
and 2 that dropped.
Right.
So, well, I mean, 2 by 2, it's a good balance. I like it.
Right. Now, mementos. These are clearly going to come from the Crown Store, the Crown crates, because they're the same thing that's in the Atronach crates, but instead of it being, you know, you got your Wildleaf Dance aura, because there was a Storm Atronach aura, Floral Sword, all these things are going to come from the Crown crate. So you have a few mementos. New motifs, Celestial and Draugr, both are already in the game, but now obviously they'll be on here. You know, we talked about a recolor of the elk. Well, there's a Great Dark Stag coming, so.
Oh yeah, I don't like it again. I don't like it.
Don't like it. Few saber-tooth cats coming in. Those are new.
Oh wow. Okay, this one is cool. I'll say the least.
The saber cat mount.
The saber cat, yeah.
The snow one, yeah. I think I'm gonna.
The snow one and the nightfall one, both of them. Because unlike the wolves, these actually look angry, like the tigers. And I'll have to get one.
And finally, we see the Wild Hunt, the 6 Wild Hunt mounts that are available. Same as the Storm Atronach, you got the bear, the guar, the cinch, the wild horse, and the wolf.
Robot says, I'm getting the black stag. It will be friends with my white elk.
Okay.
It's too expensive. And, I mean, I would get it. I mean, if the saber cat is for 4,500 crowns, I'll give it. If it looks as good as I can see in the image, I'll pay it.
Right.
But the elk wasn't up to my standards. And it didn't have armor and other visual upgrades, which is why I didn't get it. But from what I can see in the Sabercat mounts, the snow one, it does have visual upgrades like armor and speed, because it has armor on it. So if it does have the visual upgrades, I'm going to get it.
We've got new personalities coming, including the Breton Hero, Jester, and Scholar. So the Breton Hero, and as it's portrayed in the image wearing the Breton Hero costume, I guess apparently we're going to have whatever his personality is. And the only personality I can assume is weak-willed and zombie-like, right? Because he's Breton?
Actually, if this is coming to the game, then we'll have a Lord Hero personality. And if they make something
like badass, right?
And if they make something like carrying carrying a two-handed sword on the back, you know, over his shoulder kind of thing, that would be awesome.
That'd be nice. You know? See, that's
Yeah.
pretty much what it is. They had to be politically correct, so they can't say badass, so they'll just do Nord Hero. And they probably don't want to say wimpy, so they went with Breton Hero. And then, you know, of course, then you have, you know, chained up BSDM Slave Girl, which is the Altmer Hero. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're into that kind of thing. New pets are coming in, including the Ancestral Moth Swarm. So now if you have the Ancestor Moth costume, you can now be surrounded by Ancestor Moths.
That might be fun.
That would be pretty neat. Devoted Torchbug, Black Cinch Panther, Hearthfire Kagudi, a new Mastiff, which is kind of cool. 2 new Mastiffs, a Saber Cat Cub, 2 of those, both, you know, to look like the mounts, the Nightfall, and then the other one. More Mastiffs. Oh my goodness, so many Mastiffs. And the Craglorn Welwa, if you've seen those.
What?
You can get
Is
one
that-
of those. What, the Welwa?
Yeah, that's the ugliest creature
Well,
I've seen.
they're in Craglorn now. They come in packs. You'll see them. Now you just get one as a pet.
I can't decide if the Guar is more ugly, but this is ugly.
And, of course, the most important thing, Milady's Cloud Cat with the pink collar. I must have it. I must have it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It must have it. So, and speak of cats, here's one in front of my camera. Yeah. Oh, now she's biting me. All right. So that was the end of our news, guys. We're going to move on to our discussion topics. First one that I want to talk about, and again, if you have comments or questions or anything like that, we are accepting calls for the show to hear your thoughts. Join our Discord, hop into the podcast lobby. You can get to it nice and easy, dungeoncrawlernetwork.com/Discord. Put that in your browser. You'll have the invite if you are already not part of our Discord server, and you can join the show. Or just join our server and join the community as a whole because it's awesome and we love Discord. First thing I want to talk about. A few weeks ago, actually almost a month ago, someone took to Reddit and gave a screenshot of a letter that they sent to the customer service at ZeniMax. And I know even in our own Discord, which is why you should also join because we hear about these things long before anyone else, people were saying that if you contact customer support, you could say, hey, I have 5,000 crowns, and I really want that Frost mount, the Frost Horse, which is no longer available in the store. And very clearly, the customer service said, yes, I can do that for you. Here you go. And he subtracted the crowns and gave the items. And he was very... He was very, I'm trying to think of the word here, but he was pretty much putting out saying that all the customer service have this ability. Feel free to spread it around to your friends, and let them know that if they want something, they can just, put in a ticket and have it requested. Which, I know that set off a flurry of excitement for a lot of us in the Discord because it was something that, it's like, hey, not all of us have the money to throw at the Crown Store whenever they have those one-time sales, specifically looking at you, Ark, with that squid beard, because it's short-term. And this was a way that you could get it in, and I thought that was pretty neat. But a few days later, they actually came out, and the official response was that particular person was...
not aware of what he was doing.
Was not aware or was not permitted to do what he was doing.
Yeah.
And their official stance on it is there were recently a few cases where this was erroneously permitted and that have been corrected. So they were essentially testing out the gifting program, and this was one of the reasons why they had that ability. But for those who were participating in testing this program are not able to buy Crown Store items that are no longer available, but the customer service let it go through. There was quite a bit of fallout on this and some fighting going back and forth and a lot of crushed hopes with this. Ark, what are your thoughts on the entire debacle one way or the other?
Well, I mean, as you said, I was excited about it because I just don't buy the limited time items because I usually don't have the crowns at the time. Since I don't buy crowns in bulk, I just subscribe whenever I can and I have those crowns. So it was a good thing that I would be able to buy them. But overall in the sword deal, I mean, I don't really care if this wasn't a thing, if it won't be a thing in the future as well, but I'm more worried about the Peter, which was the customer support employee that did this. And as in the comments there, #save Peter.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, well, here's the thing. The job I work for Not my job, obviously. My job is I'm one of their tech support people, so I'm a little different. But we hire a lot of temps to answer phones because it's a call center. I work on the server side of things, but a lot of our customer support are temps, and a lot of it's hired out through other companies. And I know a lot of customer service companies and game providers don't really pay for customer support. They hand it out to a third-party company who does it. So a lot of times, and I'm going to say this again, I'm not confirmed with ZOS if they actually hire their customer support or if they farm it out. I don't know. I'm just saying this is the general norm. So obviously these guys aren't real invested one way or the other. They might not even work for only one job, or one thing. They're at a call center. They get a call. It goes, okay, this is for Elder Scrolls Online. The next call they could get could be for Bob's Home Improvement Store. I don't know, whatever the case may be. And they just have like a guide list of books that says, okay, here's your common support problems. They see Elder Scrolls Online, they flip to that page in the book, and these are what I can do. I don't know if that was the case with Peter one way or the other, but it did spring a little bit of, I was excited, but I was also kind of angry at the same time, going, all right, so if the customer support reps can do this, why do they keep pushing these lightning sales on us? We know it's to create that artificial scarcity, making it so people go, oh, I got to buy it right now and spend the money. But why go through all that if you're just going to allow people to buy it from the ground store anyway? Customer. Like, that seemed like a big conflict right there.
I mean, I guess it was better that they weren't allowing this rather than they are allowing this and we didn't know about it. So in a way, I'm glad that this wasn't a thing. But then again, if this was a thing, I don't know. I'm neutral about it, I guess. But I'm not a collection. I'm not a hoarder when it comes to the Crown Store, so I'm not really upset that I can't get the past items. But for someone who does and got overly excited about this, yeah, it was kind of a disaster, I guess, or scandal.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there was something that I was excited about. Now, I've had a lot of stuff early before, like up until recently. I've pretty much got most of the stuff with the exception of the crown crates. So it wasn't really for me, but it did kind of put. When I first heard it, it made me go, "Wow, I don't have to rush as much or shift funds around as much because I can always just save and go from there." It wasn't that big of a deal. But when they came back and corrected it, I feel like there was a big lapse on ZOS's part for allowing it to happen in the first place. Because yes, I know the temps are there, but why would you give them those tools to begin with? Other than, like they said, they're testing that gifting, but why did they have the ability, and what were they told? How were they trained on this that they thought this was okay? Right?
I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, it might be both a communication miscommunication as well as a coding issue that forgot to block them from accessing the past Crown Store items. So the combination of it may have led them to allow players to get the previous items. I don't know.
Nice.
Like when they open their whatever window they are using to give people to test the the gifting program.
Right.
Maybe they've just seen there that they have access to previous items as well, so they just thought, without checking up with the management or whatever, they just thought, okay, since I can access this, that means I can give this out. I don't know.
I guess, yeah.
Could be anything.
I don't know.
Save Peter.
Save Peter, yeah, definitely. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm actually kind of upset that they don't offer this. Like, and again, with the artificial scarcity, I don't know why they don't just have everything in the Crown Store all the time. Other than maybe they don't like the BS response that, you know, they have to take it out to make room. You don't. But maybe they're also trying to make it more aesthetically pleasing and not so much like, for instance, Lotro, where when you sign in and see their store, it's pages upon pages upon pages of items. I guess that could be a little off-putting if you go, oh my goodness, the amount of money I could spend on this. If you're given shorter, I mean, that's how microtransactions work. They want you to buy a little bit at a time, till you realize, wow, I've spent a crap ton of money. Whereas if they loaded it all up at front, for instance, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Go lately to help work out and stuff like that. And one of the things that they do is you need coins in order to buy Pokeballs and stuff like that. But they have it separated out where you have to buy the coins, and you can get 100 coins, which is enough to buy 20 of them for like 99 cents. That's nice and easy. And it goes all the way up to $100 for like 30,000 coins or whatever the case may be. But that's how microtransactions work. If they only had the 99 bucks one, would anyone ever buy it? It's technically a better deal. You get more for your money than if you bought the 100 coins, 100 times for $1 at a time. But most people aren't willing to justify that large of a purchase at one shot, right? It's like, ooh, until they add it all together and realize, oh, I've done it 8 times already, buying $1 at a time. So I could see why they wouldn't load the Crown Store up, but it just...
It's, at the end, it's a matter of marketing, so...
Yeah. And I don't know, I feel like, why wouldn't you... Like,
but here's why. I mean, let me give an example from a friend of mine. You know that I'm training to be a game developer, and I have a friend that we are both making games for our senior project. And he is making a mobile game. And one thing he said when the question was raised whether if his games was going to be fun or not, his answer was that I don't care. I'm aiming for people's desire to spend money on a mobile game.
Yeah.
You know, the spend money on microtransactions. I don't care if the game is fun or not. I'm targeting people's the addiction. If you
no, it makes sense.
So that's a marketing. That's an entire thing. So
it's a shady marketing thing, but it is very much.
It works, but it works.
It does. And that's the sad part. It does work, and that's why it's targeted so heavily.
So I mean, there is no questioning why they are doing this. Actually, that's it. The answer is obvious to me, at least. It's to gain more money, and it's a system that works. So,
all right,
you can't help it.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and move off of this topic. It's just something that I thought was interesting, where it was available, and they didn't train their staff well enough to know one thing or another. That the guy thought it was okay. But it's a shame that this kind of service wasn't, because I know it lit our Discord up a lot. People were just excited about this. You know, people were like, I'm going to go out and buy crowns the next time they have a sale so I can, get those items I missed a long time ago. Like, people were ready to spend crap tons of money because they thought they could do this. It's like, oh, I really wanted that Domithra Sench mount, but I didn't have the money at the time. But I came into all this extra money right now, and now I'm willing to buy it. And a lot of people were excited about that ability, only to have it taken away because it was never allowed in the first place. All right, we're here to talk about Homestead now, why we are really here. And I'm going to send a message because we have at least one call on the line. But Ark,
yeah,
Homestead, have you been playing on the PTS at all?
I logged in once or twice, then my finals came, so I had to stop. But I did try some of the houses, I did try some furnishing, and it's amazing. It's just amazing. The freedom of furnishing, the decorating is just absolutely insane. By that I mean you can place anything any way you like. There isn't. I made a room that had floating chairs, floating tables. I don't know, a table on the wall, a chair on the ceiling. So you can do anything. You can do a sky tower by putting tables upon tables that floats.
I saw that.
And you can
Outcast did that, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, it was Allcast that made a parkour-like sky tower or whatever, putting boxes upon boxes on each other. So basically, if you have the space in your home, you can, and if you have the furnishing capacity, which is 200 for non-subscribers and 400 for subscribers, I believe. Within those limitations, you can do anything.
Right.
And I'll probably make myself a tree home outside the house, if I have a...
So you're going to buy the house, but there's not going to be anything in the house. It's all going to be in like a little tree house outside.
I mean, there will be some stuff in the house, but then there will be some tree house that's high up in the air, so I can see the view from there. Because most of the houses have these large walls around them that you can't see the outside view. So if I put a tower of my own, I'll be able to see it.
I see.
Or maybe a sky arena. Can we duel in the houses? Did anyone try that? Dueling in
I
houses?
believe you can because it's non-city.
Right. So, I mean, if it works, you can have a sky arena, which would be awesome.
You really could.
All kind of things. I don't know. You can let loose your imagination, and
it's a shame that we don't have a lot of knockback abilities that, I mean, there's a few, but not a lot. And with CC immunities, it'd be neat to have an arena up there where you're fighting, but, having to be careful that you don't get too far to the edge or else you get knocked off.
I mean, you could do something like, empty spaces on the ground.
Oh, that you could fall through?
You can fall through. So you have to be careful about dodge rolling. So you could dodge roll to your death. Actually, I'm going to do this.
All right.
So yeah, overall it's awesome.
Okay. All right. Cool. No, I definitely like the freestyle housing. Now, there's been a couple. I think MMORPG.com, Massively OP. They've all been super excited about housing, and I believe Massively released an article about housing being like one of their favorite housing housing systems in any game, which is actually kind of neat that they went ahead and did that. Because there is a lot of free will style. Like, you can't build the houses. When you're building the houses are all pre-done, which I was actually really glad about, because I was not fond of free building, like a Minecraft-esque or anything like that, because I guess it probably wouldn't make too much of a deal anymore because of all the mounts that are added that aren't really lore breaking. But houses, I didn't want to see a bunch of houses that look like a bunch of penis towers.
Yeah.
That was something I was really kind of worried about. So I like that the houses are kind of preset, but I like the freedom placement, like being able to place things anywhere you want. Like, there is a lot of that, and the fact that they tied in the ESO Plus subscription to allow you to store more items is really cool. What did you feel about? And I know it's kind of hard on there because I believed we don't know Crown Store pricing yet, because I think everything on the Crown Store was like 1 crown for testing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, that's a whole different rant on whether or not they really should have the full price. That way people know ahead of time, then besides launch day. But they don't do that. The argument that they only make it 1 crown so you can test it, when they could literally just allow us to do a / command to get crowns or make crowns free on that Crown Store, so you could just keep buying packs, whatever. Like, there's options you could have done to
I'd say they are testing the waters by going through the feedback. If people like the large house too much, and if they see enough chatter in forums that saying that, okay, I'm going to buy the island, however expensive it is. So that if they are going through all these feedback and all these comments, they could just increase or decrease the final price based on that. So I assume that's why they are not putting the final price in the Crown Store during the PTS testing.
I guess. And that's something I'm trying to keep track of everything I want to talk about here. What did you feel about the house prices?
Actually, I'm pretty happy about them, to say the least.
I know that the
Because they're
smallest
not
houses are what, like 20,000? Like they're really low.
There is one for 13K.
13K
Yeah.
for the smallest of houses, with the largest houses, the manors, being almost 4 million gold.
Yeah, 3.85 million as
Yeah.
far as I can remember. But yeah, I mean, they are not as expensive as 10 million as you wanted, and they are not as cheap as, let's say, a million or a 500K. So I say 4 million is a very good price. And the fact that you can still purchase very good houses, very nice houses for like 250K, like the medium houses, they still have a garden and everything. I say the pricing is really good.
All right, well,
No problem.
I'm actually a little disappointed with the pricing. Obviously, I only have 3 million at this point. I spent quite a bit buying tempers and stuff to upgrade all my gear because I changed a lot of my sets around. So I spent a lot of money on that. But I don't like that the biggest houses are only 4 million, because I know some people are like, that's a lot of money, but it's really not, especially if you... It's a lot of money if you play the game like somebody who doesn't know how to play a game. Like, there's certain things you can do. Like, I know, Ark, you've been farming certain item sets. Like, if you do these things, yeah, you'll make money. If you're only someone who goes in and just does questing, yeah, that might be a little bit out of your range. You know, just doing the questing, doing all the quests in the game are not going to get you 4 million gold. It just ain't going to happen. There's things you have to do in an MMO in order to earn money, and there's lots of things you can do in an MMO to earn money. If PvP's your thing, you can sell your alliance points by buying the gear that people want, and that's actually something a lot of people have done. There's a lot of ways of making money in this game, and I just feel like 4 million is so attainable to an average player. I'll say an average player who's not just a single-player Elder Scrolls person who only does questing. An average MMO player, 4 million is not a lot of gold. And
I'll disagree.
Okay. Well, you can disagree. That's fine.
But here's the thing. I mean, the average player, let's say, isn't a trader, isn't a merchant. And I'll just put this in.
That's why I said an
RP
average MMO player, not an average Elder Scrolls player. The average Elder Scrolls player who just does quest, yeah, that is a lot of money, because if you're just questing and not doing anything else, not selling item sets or farming item sets or farming tempers and stuff like that, if you're not doing those things, yes, you're right. Doing questing, it'll take you forever to get that amount of gold, because you only get, 600 gold for a fully leveled daily quest or something like that? And yeah, I get that. But the average MMO player, it's not, who already does these things on a limited basis at least. I barely had enough time to play this past month, and I've made 500,000 gold. Because I log in, I get tempers, I sell them. You know, I've literally probably played less than 20 hours this month, just from work and everything like that, and I've still made 500,000 gold.
Yeah, but there are two things there. One, your RNG is higher than some people, most people. There is that. I've been farming for the past week, and I've only made for like 20 to 30K, because everything that drops with the wrong trait, which is a tale for the tail section, so I'm not going to go into there. But I mean, 4 million is not actually as achievable as you think. You think like that because you don't run 10 seconds. I mean, you run 5 minutes to a way shrine instead of spending 126 gold.
Oh yeah, I won't even spend that. Yeah, I'm very much a miser. Yeah, but
there's a reason you think that's an easy to achieve amount. I mean, in our guild, I don't think there are like 80% of our guild is probably beneath 1 million gold. You know, so that's not really at least to me, an achievable thing. And you have to consider the fact that there are other servers too. They probably have to consider other servers' economy too. And the thing I've seen in European mega server is that the amount of grinders there is so little compared to the North America.
The little Nordling is waving to everyone in chat right now.
Well, I can't see.
Look at he's waving. He's so happy.
I'm launching the stream.
Yeah, he's waving. Wave to everyone. Wave to all of the fans. Hello. Oh, he had to come down. He's so excited. Yo, look, that's you. That's you. Oh, he's going to mute my mic. He doesn't want me to talk. Mwah, you are too cute. Oh, yeah. Is that you agree? Is money easy to make in this game? Yeah. He agrees. Money's way easy. Don't
They just stole the show.
Yeah, I know. The whole show's over at this point. So he agrees with his daddy. Don't you agree with your daddy? Yeah? You agree with daddy? Yeah? All right. Mwah. Oh, you're going to sit right here with me. Here you go. I'm going to sit here for a minute. Okay. Oh, you love you.
You can keep them there, but what is that?
It's an empty, smelly thing. It's empty. Don't worry about it. He's like, what did you just give him off your desk? Well, I gave him, I gave him this for anyone who's looking. It's just like a little scent thing. It could have been worse. I could have gave him this, which is, like a knife.
Oh, don't look in front of the kid.
I didn't give him the knife, okay? Good dad. I gave him a smelly thing to hold.
So I like the egg using my really girly lamp.
I need light. Thaís is mocking my setup here. We do have a caller on the line, and I'm going to pull him in because he apparently has something to say about me and my money. Okay. It's you may have known him from this show some time ago, actually, and that would be
ancient times.
Esteldian. So I went ahead and I pulled Esteldian into the chat. Esteldian, welcome back to Tales of Tamriel after like 100 episodes.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a little while. So you're joining the call right now for the call-in show for this because you have something very specific to say to me. And what would that be? What would you like to talk about?
I think you're living in dreamland if you think 4 million's your average MMO player.
You don't think that amount of money is accessible in this game?
I didn't say it wasn't accessible. It's just it's not what your typical guy's going to get. Probably maybe about 20% of your user base might have around 4 million.
Oh, see, you're an MMO player, though. You know that just doing quest is not the optimal way in order to make money. And that most players, if you perform even the slightest bit of standard MMO trading, which is... Yeah, see, he's right, he's agreeing with me. If you're... Am I saying the wrong thing? He's disagreeing as well because apparently he's not big enough yet to farm gold for me, but he will be soon. I feel like you're just stealing the show. You are the only thing anyone's going to be able to talk about.
I love how he is talking over you. Like whenever you start talking, he's just blocking
you. You think I have a voice? He inherited my Thum, didn't you?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Is Forrest Eldon even asking this question?
He is. All right, buddy. Your mama. You want to go back to mama?
Mom.
Okay.
Right here.
Here
He's
you
not gonna like it.
No, he's not gonna like it. Oh, buddy. I love you.
It's alright, he's almost done.
Yeah, I'm almost done, bud. Don't worry about it. As he just threw that at my cat.
We wouldn't mind.
No. Well,
He could be joining the show.
yeah, well, it's dinner time, so he's eat his dinner. So, but he had to come down and say hi. You played this game for a very long time, Steldian. How much money did you earn?
I just about probably broke 100,000 by the time I left.
People are not rich
And I've
as
done
you.
all the content.
What were
I've
you
done everything, all
spending
the
money
raids.
on?
Nothing. And I still don't know anyway, because you see, you assume that your average MMO is a trader. A lot of MMOs cannot be asked to deal with the market, even in a game with an actual bazaar. This one doesn't even have that much convenience. But, no, I mean, I don't think I bought or sold anything on the market for my entire duration. And in fact, there's probably only about 2 games of all the MMOs I've played where I bothered being a bit of a trade man. and I played the market. Otherwise, I pretty much don't touch it because it's boring. I can't be asked with it, so I'll just sell it to the merchant for 2 gold, and I probably could have put it on there and sold it for 20 times that. I just haven't got the patience to deal with that sort of crap.
Wow, all right.
See,
And
that
I
was
think
my
you'll find a lot
point.
of players don't.
Some people are, warriors, they do the PvE content. Some people are soldiers that they do the PvP content. And some people are traders that trade stuff and make gold.
But I don't I'm mostly a quester and raider. And raiding, obviously, is you spend tons of money on potions and tempers
most people
and
are
things like
not
that.
as greedy as you.
Greedy?
You would fight every single person on a fishing night to get to one single Nern route.
Well,
Saying,
that's because it's
see what I
Nernroot.
mean?
Okay, and Nernroot calls to me, and I have an addiction. Okay, that's besides the point.
And I've been playing on 2 servers, like in North America since the beginning of Elder Scrolls Online probably, and I have 450k, and I did spend it a lot. I won't say, but even if I didn't, I probably would have been around 1.5 million. And in European server, I've been trying to make money for a while, and I've only just broke 500k. See, I mean, 4 million is not as achievable as you say.
But all right. Regardless of that fact, all right. Let's just argue that and be fine. That apparently I am the 1%. I am the problem. I am the rich bastards of the game, which I'm really not. I'm actually low on the totem pole. I know a lot of people with more money than me, but taking that out of the fact, with an MMO and specifically housing, shouldn't there be a level of work that you have to put in to get something nice? Like those people who you can't be bothered with. And Estelle, I know you don't really care about housing, but in this particular case, if you couldn't be bothered with the trading, you're obviously not worried about making money enough to purchase a house. But if you're willing to put in the work, do you feel like every single person should have a mansion, something that should have been a prestige thing or a guild thing where a guild got together and bought it, that it's okay that anyone can have it? Like, it feels like the housing with the prices is a participation trophy.
No, I think 4 million's pretty well placed to stop it from being a participation trophy. You could probably bring out a later one.
I barely logged in and I have that amount of money.
Yeah, but you actually have a trading. You have no idea. If you don't trade, you got nothing. If you don't do the high end stuff, you've got nothing to trade. You're selling a few Nern routes, hoping someone's going to buy the stuff from you. It's just nothing. I mean, I don't have the patience for it. I'm not going to sell something for 20 gold just to make that little bit of money. But I know people who do, and they've crept up the board with that. But unless you can get those items really wanted, if you don't do PvP, you don't have the really expensive items to sell there. If you don't have enough close friends to do the constant farming of the dungeons to get that really good ring that you can sell on the thing, you got no money coming in there. So your average casual player, so your casual player, 4 million, even if they dedicate themselves to it, is still well out of their league, but that's fine because they get the smaller houses. Only your hardcore players who are farming stuff endlessly because they've got nothing better to do, they're the ones who get the spare stuff to go sell the rings and the sets and all that to make themselves the nice pretty fortune to go and buy their 4 million house. But you will find that more than half the population will be staring longingly at your mansions. Don't worry about it.
I still feel special above all the lot. I need my Trump Tower. That's what I need. All right.
I mean, if we just exclude you from Wings of Fate, I'm pretty sure that it would take the rest of the officers and senior members' collective money to buy the Daggerfall Overlook. If you just excluded you.
I think you're exaggerating that a little bit, because I think there's a couple people in the Wings of Fate guild who have more money than me, and particularly one person, I wish she was here right now. I know she has more money than me. She's been working on it, but she has more than me. Amanda has more than me right now.
Wait, Amanda has more money than you?
Yeah.
When did she make that all that money?
She's been working on it. She told me the other day, I forget how much she had, but it's more than I did, because she's like, I just broke this. I'm like, oh, wow, you're higher than me. Again, I hadn't been logged on much. Like I said, less than 20 hours in a month is not a lot of time of playing. And
Well,
when
she probably just ordered her minions to the grind. So
ordered
slave
them with
them
the
into
one ring.
farming.
Farm the
Yeah.
gold for me. I understand that. Where dark powers aside, you're right. But there are other people in the guild with more money.
Oh wow! Even Robot has 1.4 million.
Yeah, like
What?
yeah. So
but
maybe
but
you
only
guys
your
are the
guild
ones that are doing stuff wrong. There's
Your guild was designed as a trading guild, so
well, no, we haven't
had.
had a trader in like a year. The Wings of Fate has not had any trader in over a year. A lot of us have joined other guilds on the North American side to fill our trading needs. I'm part of Red Nern Reserve to do my trading.
I think all of Wings of Fate.
Almost
is also
everyone, yeah,
part of
because it's
Red
open.
Nern Reserve.
So yeah, all of Wings of Fate pretty much trades on Red Nern. Yeah, we did that for a
Except-
while, but we weren't able to keep up with the amount of money that the other guilds had. We couldn't compete, and so we kind of slipped off of that. But regardless of that point, even having one trader and keeping it full of items, even crafting items that are easy to get, pick one craft. Just one. You don't have to be a master crafter. Pick one, put 10 points in it, and farm rubidite. Or cloth. And just put the raw stacks up, or refine them and maybe sell the tempers. Like, there's things you can do that you can make money.
Yeah, when you refine 500 rubidite ores and get just one tempering alloy, it's not fun. Well, I don't know what you are sacrificing to RNGesus, but
Tears of the Fallen. That's
yeah.
pretty much what it is at this point. But yeah, no, I feel like the housing is a little too cheap. But,
I think it's fair.
Apparently, I am wrong.
I mean, if you
You're
think
alone
it's
in
that
this.
cheap,
I'm
just
alone
buy
in
me one.
Just,
on North
just buy
America.
for everyone, yeah.
Yeah, buy me a mansion and just give me all of the permissions and lock yourself out.
Just lock myself
Yeah.
out. You can hand off the keys and walk around. All right, well. Thank you for the call in, Estellian. That's awesome. Thank you for calling in, and missed you around, buddy. Glad to see you here.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right.
Enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and continue talking about housing, particularly the Cash Shop exclusive housing with the
Yep.
island, the island retreat, and
Possibly
the
Craglorn.
Craglorn, because there was no price available on the PTS. I'm not sure. Like, we knew ahead of time that the Craglorn one was going to be exclusive, or not the Craglorn. The island was going to be exclusive, and honestly, I thought that was going to be the only one, at least at the start. All right, at least at the start. But what if it is true? The Craglorn one was actually one of the largest houses. Both of these areas. With that being said, and what we've learned of both of these areas, both the Craglorn, the Earth Tier Cavern, and the island will have a much larger item count than even the largest houses. So
Could be. Yeah.
Well, no, they've already said that.
Oh, okay.
It's probably going to be close to double. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Craglorn one, because I kind of like the Craglorn one as being like, not like, if you want to buy a crown, it's great, whatever. But being able to earn it in game, it kind of feels like an entire tier of housing. That's kind of like going, okay, you can buy small, medium, and large houses with gold, but the mansions are Crown Store exclusive. Yes, there's one more tier above mansions, but that's essentially what it is at this point. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I'm not sure I like that, because I was kind of thinking about saving some crowns and getting one of the island when it came out, but that was with the thought of having the Craglorn tier as well.
advantage, as far as I can see, of the island is that it's not an enclosed space, so you can decorate it more freely. I mean, you can probably expand the dock towards the sea, and I don't know, build a house on the sea as well, because it doesn't have walls around it. It's just an instance space of an island. It's completely open area. But the Craglorn Cavern it's actually not that big. It's just beautiful. That's for sure. But it's not that big compared to the island, and it looks as big as any of the manors, actually.
Yeah, I guess without knowing the item count, like, I'm only going based off what they've said before, that they were going to be larger. So it made me think that one way or the other. I kind of really had my heart set on that cavern. Like, I really liked that cavern. But with it being a Crown Store exclusive, I'm not really sure if I'm willing to put out the crowns. But even if I was, we don't know what the cost of these things are going to be. We don't know what the cost of any of them are going to be able to speculate one way or the other. But all the houses are going to be, every single house is going to be available in the Crown Store. Every single one. Regardless, you can get them in game or not, but every single one is going to be available in the Crown Store. But we don't know the prices. What are you theory crafting these prices are going to be for these houses? Given that we have small, medium, large, mansion, and then island retreat or whatever, essentially its own zone.
I mean, the small ones and small medium ones will probably be, I don't know, somewhere around 1,000 to 3,000. Like small to medium to large.
3,000 crowns for like a small house, really?
No, I mean, like 1,000 for a small, 2,000 for a medium.
Okay.
Perhaps, and 3 for a large. And for manors, maybe 5,500. And then for the island, I'm considering that there are motifs for 2,000 to 3,000, amount for 4,500. I would say an island would be 100,000, like $100, $100.
$100,
or maybe even more. I don't know.
More.
Yeah, 10,000. Yeah,
you know, and that's not too out of the way, because I've been talking with several people within the Dungeon Crawler Network in our Discord, and we play multiple games, not just ESO, and some other games, specifically Lord of the Rings Online and EverQuest 2, have released premium house now. Both of these are free-to-play games, but with how ESO is handling its monetization, they're handling their monetization like a free-to-play game. But that's an argument for another day. But both of these have released premium housing, and I believe Lotra's premium housing is $200, I think it is. I might be off on that. I wish. I
remember $400.
$400 was EverQuest 2. EverQuest 2 had guild houses that were $400. Now again, they were designed as very, very large guild houses, and the whole idea of $400 was that you were, if you had a guild of 40 people and everyone chipped in $10, there you go.
Yeah.
You got it. That's understandable to an extent. But $400 is still a pretty penny. And let's face it, we have a fairly large community here at DCN, and out of everyone here, all of our fans support us, but not everyone can support us, financially. Out of everyone who listens, we only have a handful of that support us financially, because that's how it is. Not everyone's going to pay. So looking even at those large guild houses, that the majority of that money is going to be fronted by a couple of members. You're not going to get 100% buy-in, even if it was just even when we were doing the Guild Trader thing, when we were doing raffles and stuff, we didn't even get 100% buy-in for that. It's just the idea of having that amount of players willing to throw in money, like real-life money, is small, because not everyone has that amount of disposable income. Some people's budgets are very, very tight, and they budget exclusively just for these things. So I don't know.
There's also the fact in Elder Scrolls Online's housing, you'll be able to invite like 24 people at a time into your house. So even if you are getting a house for guild purposes, as a guild hall,
Which is what I'm doing with my manor. I'm just going to allow anyone in the guild.
yeah, but I mean, you'll be allowing only 24 people at a time into the guild.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, we don't really get more than 25 people at a time online, so it's not really a big deal, but
yeah. We have like
it is what it is.
225 people in the guild, but like you said, probably less than half of that is active every single day.
yeah,
and
and
at the same
I've only
time?
seen 20 to 25 people at most at the same time online. So
Yeah, recently it has been that way where the numbers have been dropping off, where a lot of people are not on as often as they once were. And generally that's how it goes with MMOs as they age and go forward. But yeah, you wouldn't have it, but 24 people, that's not a guild hall. You're expecting much larger. Even Guild Wars 2 with their guild halls, because they don't have housing, they only have guild halls, but those things can hold tons of people. I forget how many people they can hold, but it's a lot. It's like above 75 people, I think it is. I think it might even be more than that. And I know they've been working. They said they wanted to work on raising that cap, but I don't know. I guess it would all depend on how much stress it puts on the servers, because housing will be their own servers. And I'm assuming they're going to use some sort of instancing. So as you get more and more people in the same shard, they have to make sure that their servers can handle that amount of
but the problem is, at least for the role players, like I've seen a complaint about it, whether on the forums or Reddit, I can't remember, but that some of the guild events that multiple guilds join can go up to 50 to 60 people. And what use a house is, if not for storage and not roleplay? Let me rephrase that. Main purposes of house, for those who doesn't care about roleplay or immersion, would be storage, and we don't have that. Then comes the role players who would host large events in their houses, like a Dunmer House meeting that invites people from House Hulalu, Indorel, Telvanni to the Ebonheart Chateau. But if they can only host 24 people, that doesn't make sense. So that's one thing. So yeah, I hope they increase the amount of people that they can squeeze into these houses. At least, if not for all of them, at least for the Crown Store exclusives, As for the price point, I mean, there are people who also have too many crowns on their accounts that they don't use. Like, I remember James on our Discord had 18k crowns already that he doesn't use, and it's just piled up.
right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they went for 20k or higher too, to sink all that crowns away from the account so people start to purchase again.
And that's something that a lot of this pricing may be going into. Maybe it's our fault as a community that, and they'd probably never release these metrics, but I would really love to see the average crowns per account. Because you're right, there were a couple people who don't care about cosmetics at all in this case, at least not ones that you buy. They like to do in-game stuff, which, I'm a big fan of. I'm a collector, so when costume stuff came out, I wanted to buy them. Like, that was just something that I wanted to do because that's how I like. I have that monkey on my back and it drives me nuts. But not everyone is in that same regard. So I've never had more than a couple thousand crowns on my account at one time, and that's normally only after my subscription hit or a sale or something like that. But normally it's pretty low because I spend them very quickly. But a lot of people don't. So that might be driving in those factors. They're trying to release all these cool mounts and stuff like that and try to entice people to spend their backlog of crowns. Maybe that is a thing. But I don't know. We've already spent, like you said, $5,500. That's $40 US if you didn't buy the crowns on a on a sale. On a sale, which you should never count as a sale. Whatever their price is normally is their price. You wouldn't say that, oh, I went out and bought a pair of jeans and they were $10, but when you go there next week they're $50. That doesn't lower the value of the item itself. It's just the fact you got it on a sale. You can't count on that. So, always people mentioning, oh, well, it's cheaper if you buy sales. It is. It very much is, but you have to have the money when the sale's going on. So, you got $40. We've had mounts who are in that price range, that $35 to $40 range. That's not uncommon for these things. So, yeah, I could see these houses being up there in 100, 150, but much more than that, I don't know. I guess it's different if I saw it, like if you were only able to buy these things off the website and it said $400. It'd be different. But if they showed me that sheer amount in crowns, $400 in crowns, or in crowns, what is that? Like 5,500, 40 times 10, 55, like almost 60,000 crowns or something like that. Yeah. That sheer amount would just kind of startle me because you have to do the conversion in your head, and then the conversion in your head's a little off going, it's
if I can't do the math, I can't afford it. If you can't do the math for something, you can't afford it.
Yeah, that's right. If you can't do the math, you can't do it. Gotcha. All right, so it looks like we're getting another person on the line here to talk about housing, but he's getting ready, so just going to give him a minute. So we'll continue that. I do feel like I don't know, like I honestly feel like these Crown Store exclusive mount or houses shouldn't be in the menu. Like you have to go to the website to buy them. Because then they could just do a dollar amount instead of crown amount. Maybe then it wouldn't freak people out when you open up the thing going, oh my goodness, this thing is 75,000 crowns.
Yeah, but then again, if you have let's say 50,000 crowns piled up on your account, and you see that alongside to the 75,000 price point on it, you could say, wait a minute, I already have 50,000 piled up. That's a good amount. I mean, it would be a shame if I missed that 75K. So that might also be a positive a motivation to buy the house. But I don't know who even has that much amount.
I'm actually I'm doing some math here real quick, and based on how many crowns, 50 really divided by 12. See, so you say 75,000. It's not even possible to have that amount unless you bought crowns, because let's say you're subscribed for you've been subscribed since the start. It would take you 4.166666 repeating years in order to earn that amount of crowns. But the first year you didn't earn crowns anyway.
Yeah.
And the game's only been out for 3 years.
By the way, how did we get up to 75? We were talking about like 10 to 15K. How did we get up to 75?
For the big houses, for the big ones, because we started talking about if they were $200, $300, but that would be an investment. That's not something you would buy if it were that expensive by just saying, oh, I've been subbed since the start and I've never spent any crowns.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't have that amount of crowns, because in the 2 years that we've been playing, that even if you've done it since the start and you never spent any crowns, it's only been 2 years. You would probably only have at a max somewhere in the idea of 3,600 if you never spent anything. Somewhere in not 3,600, 36,000 crowns if you never spent anything.
I don't think they'll ever go that high, but I do expect a 20K, 15 to 20K price point. And that's something you can hoard up, I guess. I mean, even I have 5K stored on my account, so if I can have 5K stored up, 15 to 20K is reasonable.
I mean, we have Tone MD in chat. He was pretty much, as we're talking about these prices, saying that it's ridiculous to buy a digital horse for $50. It's also ridiculous to buy a digital house for $100. It's more than the price of an expansion and more than the entire cost of the game. And it really has no utility other than aesthetics. It is true. It's very much true. And Dillpat, we did talk about some of the 2.7.2 changes, mostly about, we talked about all that stuff, DK Leap at the beginning of the show. So yes, we did. I don't know. It is what it is. All right, okay.
I was typing, so I didn't catch the last part, so I'm catching up. 1 second.
Okay, yeah, no worries. No worries, man. I'm glad you decided to join in. And remember, we're still taking calls on this. If you want to express your thoughts about housing or anything we've talked about, join our Discord, hop in the podcast lobby, we'll pull you in. DungeonCrawlerNetwork.com/Discord. We do have a caller, and unfortunately, he's dealing with kid issues at the moment, so I'm kind of trying to stall a little bit for him, but...
I messaged him, so he'll let me know when he's ready.
Okay.
Or you, one of us.
So we've got that. We've hit on the prices, the Crown exclusivity, and the freeform housing. So, I mean, it really...
There's one more controversial topic,
Yeah.
which is the storage, actually.
Storage.
Which is one of the main controversies of the entire housing ordeal, so we could talk about that.
We can, because as of right now, and this is pretty much why a lot of people have been turned off of housing, and I know this is actually something that I know Gallisner, who's waiting in chat, would probably love to talk about, is the fact that as of right now, the houses are cosmetic only. They are essentially Tamrielic version of The Sims, where you're decorating and that's pretty much what you're doing. And actually, probably Sims isn't even a good idea because you have to manage when you have to go to the bathroom. But it's really decorating. It's dress me up Barbie, but with houses. That's all it is. There's no functionality, unlike some of the older MMOs that we know, Ultima Online, for instance. Again, this is going back 20 years at this point. But houses in some of these early MMOs offered more than just a place to go hang out.
Mm-hmm. Gallisner is ready, by the way.
Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and pull him in. So we've got Gallisner on the line right now. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. I hear you're wrestling with your little Nordling.
Indeed. He's had quite the day.
Understandable. My little one was just here, and then he had to go up for dinner, and he threw a little fit. He did not like it.
Okay.
But he was having fun trying to mute Daddy. But for pretty much that 10 minutes he was on the show, no one was looking at us because he's just adorable. So, I mean, we could have said anything we wanted, blah, 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 and he was amazing. So, we're talking Homestead and housing, and I know you've had a couple thoughts, we'll say, on housing in ESO as well as housing in modern MMOs in general. So you want to talk to us about that?
Sure. I mean, I think housing as a whole is like a second thought to MMOs these days, especially with the modern MMOs. We go back to Ultima Online, where the housing was part of the landscape. It was part of the game. Mm-hmm. Where they built the map to accommodate that. It made housing so much more organic to the game world. It made it seem more right, other than portals or instances where you have a gathering of players where you just lose immersion that way, I suppose.
Right, absolutely. I understand that completely. I remember in Ultima Online I had a prime spot for one of my characters. It was just a small house, and it was an opening, but it was right behind my house was a mountain range, which was great for mining. So I was able to pretty much right outside my house go mine, and without having to use any portal or going back to town or anything like that, I was able to walk back into my house at the forge, do my work, and go from there. It was definitely a very neat experience to have. And we mentioned earlier one of the controversies going on with housing in Homestead right now is the fact that, and Dilpat in chat pretty much said the same thing, housing is a idea is good, but I feel it's going to be another semi-fulfilled idea. We get housing, we get a training dummy, despite it's going to cost about 500k gold, and no housing storage. No dummies to show gear on, and you can fall through planks and platforms, etc. if you get knocked down, knocked back. So, you know, it does feel like what they released is nice if you like decorating houses, but there's so very little that you can do with the houses. What are your thoughts?
It screams of last minute to me. The houses look beautiful. The game engine is beautiful. They've done a really good job with the artwork with the houses, and I think monetizing it in the Crown Store is a big hit for them. I think it's perfect for the Crown Store because it doesn't do anything to your character, it doesn't boost it in any way.
And you can earn most of the stuff in game too, so you have two options. You can, you know, earn gold for almost everything with the exception of like 2 houses that are Crown Store exclusive. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's great for the Crown Store. I think they would be foolish not to add storage to the housing, at least for like a lure to subscribe to the ESO Plus.
Right. Malaris Aelith from Aelithcast in chat says, what I really hope for is actual guild housing with robust functionality and guild progression. We need to be able to purchase a guild hall and have fun ways in which the guild members can contribute towards the growth and development of the hall via guild quests, crafting, leveling, so on, so on. For me, housing works best when it's not purely cosmetic, but actually offers us players new and fun ways to progress in-game alongside our guildmates.
So, I guess it's a matter of, you know, having a guild house is a matter of belonging to a place. Because one thing I loved when I was more active in role-playing in Elder Scrolls Online was that we had a designated area to our guild. It was for a time it was Shorestone, for a time it was the Wayne Priory in Cyrodiil, and having those places that you can walk in, and there are some people from your guild role playing around or just standing there. It's a fun thing to have, to belong in a place, because I knew that if I ever went to Shorestone at an active time of the day, there would be people from my guild.
Right.
And having a guild hall like that, where people are actively doing something, as Balazar said, maybe quest, maybe crafting something, that made them stay there during their active gameplay time, would create, I don't know, it would be a nice thing to have. Because you would know that if you ever go into that guild hall, there would be people around that you could do stuff with I don't know.
Here's one facet. When we talked about those attunable crafting locations that you could then take out into the world, they learn the crafting thing, so you didn't actually have to go out into the world anymore in order to craft your Hundig's Rage or your, you know, whatever, because that crafting set would learn that ability, and then you could take it back to your house. So all your guild crafting could be done in the house.
Yeah.
Given there's not a whole lot of that, like there's not a lot of reason with the fact that a lot of gear doesn't degrade, there's nothing like that. It's not like you're constantly making gear in most cases, but you wouldn't have to run people out and about to go anywhere. Because I know Gallister, a lot of times you would get my services and we'd have to run out to, why am I drawing a blank on it? The little peninsula for Thieves Guild, to do Alchemist, the Clever Alchemist set for you. Because we did like several renditions for your builds, and
Yes, Hughes Bane.
Hughes Bane, thank you. We'd have to run out there a million times in order to craft. Oh, I need an axe for this, or I need this. We'd be running back and forth, but being able to do it in the house is pretty neat. I like that.
I mean, imagine having armor masters inside the house. Not that I'm using it much right now, but it's in Imperial City. You have to go to Imperial City. It's hard.
Yeah, and there's also that risk. And Bell in chat, thank you. Now I can pronounce your name correctly. It makes it nice and easy. I'll keep that in mind going forward. Anything else you'd like to talk about, Galsner? I appreciate your call.
No, just going back on the world versus instance stuff. I mean, and I guess Ultima Online's intellectual successor was Star Wars Galaxies, which they basically took Ultima Online engine and put it in a 3D Star Wars environment, and it did very well in that respect. As far as with housing built in, you could have a guild in a guild house, could be any house of any size, and you kept crafters in there crafting and this, that, and the other. But the wonderful thing about it not being instances, you could socialize with people outside of the guild, form alliances, and you could have a hub of, you get a spaceport in where people could port in. It was great. It'd be wonderful to see that in Elder Scrolls Online.
The problem, I would say, with the non-instanced housing in Elder Scrolls Online would be that Tamriel is a specific land, and it has a certain area to it. So you can't extend it by your choice. You can generate a new land in Tamriel, and it's beautifully scaled that you don't realize it's actually a very small map.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but if you started putting houses there and realize that after the 5th house, the Stone Falls ends, you would realize that it's actually a pretty small map. So that's the problem with non-instanced houses.
With this
you don't
game.
have enough space in Tamriel. Yeah, with this game.
Yeah,
you don't have enough space in it.
Agreed. And a lot of that was because they didn't design the map to be overly large. It is very small when you think about it. Each zone is not overly large. It does not take you long to walk from one end to the other. So Tamriel does feel very small in that regard. I know there's a lot of newer games out there who talk about, I'm trying to remember a couple of them off the top of my head, but regardless, they're talking about their maps being essentially would take you like 8 hours to walk from one end to the other. They're very huge, but that also means there's a lot of empty space to allow for the open world housing. This game was not built that way, and that is a problem, and that's one of the reasons why Ultima Online and Star Wars Galaxies, for instance, allowed that, is the world was built with that in mind. They had a lot of empty space, and they made it very large, so that way there was places for housing. It was limited, but there was a lot per shard that you could get. It wasn't like 5 houses and you were done. But there is going to be a detriment to this game in terms of community, especially with the fact that houses can only have 24 people. And it's not like your entire guild can even be in the house at one time. But that social element of hanging out in cities is going to be gone. It's going to be role players. You're going to have a hell of a hard time finding them because they're going to be in a guild house more than likely.
It was already that. The open world roleplay is already that. So.
Well, it wasn't earlier. Like, I remember going to Evanhart and finding tons of people in there, but that's gonna make the game world feel very small. Other games that have been built with similar ideas, like Final Fantasy XIV, for instance, with their housing, and this is something we talked about when housing was first announced and we were trying to theory craft exactly what was going to happen, is that Final Fantasy's world is not much bigger than ESO, if at all. It might even be smaller for the actual, questing areas. But they did neighborhoods where they made a small zone that allowed you to place houses within a neighborhood. In each neighborhood, maybe 50 houses or whatever. But then it just created infinite instances. So when you got to the zone, it's like, okay, what instance do you want to go into? And you could find your houses from there. So it still provided instance housing while providing the neighborhood, and I'm kind of upset that they didn't go that route, because there were a few places in the world, specifically in the cities, that you could have had those things, where it was a gate you went through, and all of a sudden, like I think Eastmarch was one of those areas behind the big city there. There was an area that was undeveloped that you could see it on the map that could have made a great housing zone, because when you zoned in, it could have been another extension of the wall and up like 20 houses, and those could have been a neighborhood, and then it just was an infinite instance layer. I'm sad they didn't go that route, and that they went with the instance at the door rather than at a gate and then you go into a neighborhood.
Yeah, it reminds me of Dark Age of Camelot, where they had
Dark Age did the same
also-
thing. Yes.
Yeah, but they did something interesting. They melded the marketplace so that you had to go to people's houses to go to their vendors.
Yes, they did. But there was one market board where you could search for stuff, which is one of the things that I really liked. And I actually kind of wish they would have added it into this game, where there was one market board where you could search, but you still had to go to the vendor to buy it. You know, it's like, oh, I need tempering alloy. All right. Oh, I see that these merchants have it for these prices. Then you had to trek. I do agree. I like that system, but we're kind of getting off topic with that one. Anything else before we end our topic on housing? We are kind of running a little long, and I do want to go say goodnight to my son before he goes to bed.
No, thank you for having me on. I'm looking forward to ESO Housing coming out, and hopefully they will make the fixes they need to make.
Expand the system,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, the housing system right now. I know we talked about this, and a lot of it's because we wanted to have a conversation, right? Conversation is fun to have, but with what they started on, as long as they don't end here, this is a good base. If they release this and nothing else for housing ever again, that's a short miss. Like, they missed the mark here, and that's really sad that they did that. That would make me very upset. But they have a great base and a great starter. They're off to a good start, and I hope they continue adopting and adding to this system and not just fire and forgetting it, because that would be a real injustice. All right. I think that's kind of it. We're running a little long arc, so I think we're going to have to cut off our tails. We'll have to save that for next week, because I do have a couple things I want to talk about as well. But we are going for over 2 hours now, so I do want to go say goodnight to my son. So anything else before we hop off, bud?
Not that I can think of, no. It's been a great show. It's been a while since we were able to, we had to cut an episode short because we were running too late. So that was fun. It's
It absolutely
good to have
was.
these episodes once in a while.
We could have still gone, but I want to, I have to get going. But I do appreciate everyone in chat. Bell from Aelith Cast, he's in there. Dillpat, a bunch of other people. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to scroll up here so I can give everyone their just due. Tone MD. And a few others that are in here. Obi, I saw him in there. ESO Mana. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out in chat and for being active. You guys are great. I want to thank the people who called in. We got Gallisner calling in, and
Steldian
calling in. Yeah, both of you guys, fantastic. It's been so long I've got to talk to Steldian. I almost forgot his name. It's awful. Thank you so much. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. And thank you, as always, to my co-host and the guy who's always here, no matter what, because I don't let him leave. Thank you so much. I hope everyone appreciated and enjoyed this episode. Be back next week. We do these call-in shows because they're fun to do, and I love to hear from the community. Check us out, DungeonCrawlerNetwork.com. Leave us 5-star reviews, or any review, really, on our podcast. That always helps us out. And thank you so much for your support, both monetarily through Patreon and through listening to this podcast. Thank you so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Serpent lights the ancient sky, a thread of tainted stars. Evil stirs, and in its wake the souls of mortals sway. And sorrow reigns over fields of red, and spirits pace through the shadows cast by their grace. These are days and nights of venom and blood. Heroes will rise as the anchors fall. Pride feels the deadly fire that devours our tower of gold. The drums of war will rend and roar till the sun burns bright once more. These are days and nights of blood. Heroes will rise as the anchors fall. Brave the strong, reclaim every soul.